All right. Hey, everyone. So I'm Dalton Rybar, and the company I chose was Snapchat or Snap Inc., as it is in the SEC. Okay, so a quick overview of Snapchat. They launched in 2011. They're the seventh most popular social media platform, and they're popular messaging and media app. So the app was designed to kind of send pictures, chats, and videos. And these are called snaps. Snapchat has a lot of users, and these users can exchange pictures and videos. This is meant to like disappear after you send the video or the snap per se, and that's kind of how it differentiates itself from their competition. Mostly teenagers and young adults make up the majority of users for Snapchat, as you can kind of see in the graph below. You can see the age distribution of, move this out of the way here. So you can kind of see the ages here. Obviously, 18 to 24, you have a majority. This is males and females. So a majority of their users fall into that kind of category of teenager to young adult. And the app was designed to give texting a little more of a natural face-to-face feel. That's why they can send pictures and include words in those pictures. And this is unlike other messaging apps. You can save those old memories and kind of the moments within the app, which differentiates from the competition. The app also allows you to add filters and other AI and AR based lenses to kind of give it a fun feel. And this kind of separates it from the competition as well. And these filters kind of like include face swaps or advertising with different kind of companies or like movies, like appear in the background or like put a helmet on you, kind of different fun things like that. 39% of Snapchat's advertising audience, like I said, is between 18 and 24, kind of that Gen Z. A kind of a fun fact is that 2.1 million snaps are sent per minute, which is just kind of mind-boggling for me. I was like super surprised. Like, that's crazy. That's a huge amount. And in the US, 90% of all 13 to 24-year-olds use Snapchat, which is a lot. It's almost 100%, which is just crazy. And there's over 100 million users in the US. And we'll go to the next slide here. All right. So we'll kind of get in the financial analysis. So for the profitability analysis, our first up, we have revenue, as you can see here. And Snapchat is in the yellow, and Pinterest is kind of their closest competition, at least revenue-wise. Obviously, you have Facebook and Instagram. However, they have a lot more mergers and acquisitions than Snapchat does as a company. So the revenues and whatnot is almost tenfold. So I chose Pinterest, competition, still with Snapchat, social media platform. You can share images and kind of posts. However, it's a lot more closer in revenue and size to Snapchat. So that's why I chose Pinterest. So obviously, very similar trends as you can see in the graph here. Snapchat kind of increasing almost at the same time and kind of like plateauing at the same time as that Pinterest company throughout 2019, from 2019 to 2022. So I analyzed the last 4 years of the SEC 10K filings. As you can see, Snapchat is slightly higher. And Snapchat generate revenue kind of from various advertising products that they offer to different corporations and companies, and entertainment is kind of their biggest, like movies and like video games companies that they like team up with. And Snapchat has a lot of ads and like those filters, like I mentioned, kind of drive a lot of their revenue. And those like sponsored filters and experiences allow kind of users to interact with the advertising company's brand. And it kind of enables them to have a brand artwork and kind of really connect on a personal level to these users and the customers of Snapchat. And the reason why it's kind of in these like fixed portions, like you can see here, like it's kind of like a straight line, they kind of increase at a constant rate, it almost looks like. And that's due to Snapchat having a revenue contract agreements that kind of are at a fixed rate. And in those contract agreements, obviously you can't change, the rate and some of the revenue with these agreements. So that's kind of hence the very kind of blocky, straight um, trend that we see in this graph. Okay. Next up, gross profit comparison. So here we have kind of a similar trend as well as gross profit uses revenue in the calculation. So Snapchat in yellow, Pinterest in white here. This time Pinterest is higher, has a higher gross profit now, and that's mainly due to the cost of revenue. Snapchat, their cost of revenue includes payments for content, developers, kind of advertising partner costs. And these agreements pay a portion of that, and the fees that they receive from the advertisers and these Snap ads are with their partner content and these agreements. And these costs had significantly increased and doubled almost since 2019, which is why you kind of see a little bit lower trend here from Pinterest, one of their competitors, since a lot of the cost of revenue for Snapchat includes an overhead and storage costs, like with cloud and whatnot, that increased throughout the last 4 years. Okay, we'll continue with the profitability analysis with net income. So here we can kind of see this is kind of where it differentiates a little bit. Here Pinterest is in the black, kind of increasing a little more volatile than the Snapchat net income as we see here. So the Snapchat, the last 4 years have been operating at net loss. As you can see, zero right here, breaking even. They are well below that. And that's mainly due to the shifts in the advertising industry for social media platforms. And that's kind of why you see they kind of increase, at least Pinterest increases at a higher rate, but it increases at the same portions of Snapchat in this trend and decreases right here in that 2021. And this also includes kind of recovery from COVID. So obviously everyone's at home on their devices. So social media really spiked up, and now it's kind of simmering back down to its regular pre-COVID, pre-pandemic kind of rates and financial perspective and numbers. So that's kind of why it's decreasing a lot kind of here. However, it's still operating at a loss, and this is due to their Snapchat's high operating expenses, such as marketing, research and development, and other administrative costs that they're trying to kind of lower so they can get back up to a positive net income. And now we kind of go into the ratio analysis here with profit margin. So again, common theme that we're seeing here, very similar, following similar trend here. This one's a little bit closer. However, Pinterest in the white obviously has a higher profit margin. That's going to be due to that net income, net loss graph that we just looked at. And here, Snapchat, very kind of constant. So at least they're consistent here. And the variations in operating expenses and that marketing and the research and development that I kind of mentioned previously, that cost structure affects Snapchat right now. And the reason why Pinterest is higher is they have lower costs than Snapchat. They kind of manage it a little bit better. All right. Ratio analysis continued, this time return on assets, ROA. Here we have the comparison. This is where it kind of gets a little different. Pinterest started out with a really low ratio here in 2019, and they climbed a lot due to the pandemic in that 2020, 2021 period. And now they're kind of decreasing with that trend in the social media and online industry kind of coming back to normal rates. And the assets increasing due to the increase in marketable securities for Snapchat in this period. And they kind of use commercial paper and CDs is mainly I found on their 10K filings. That's kind of their go-to for investing. And Pinterest has a more efficient use of their assets, indicating kind of more earnings per asset that they have. And this is compared to Snapchat, as you can see here, which is why it's a slight variation. All right, asset analysis. We'll look at the receivable turnover. And I did not include inventory turnover due to the fact I couldn't find enough information on both companies. So I just focused on the accounts receivable turnover. And Snapchat net credit sales has increased almost double since 2019. And this kind of affected the increase in the AR turnover. On the graph here, pretty even with Pinterest. As you can see, Snapchat's always lower, but pretty consistent, like within one of the AR turnover ratio. And the average accounts receivable has increased in the kind of same proportion as Pinterest, which is why the ratio stays so similar and so kind of consistent throughout the years. All right, we'll go to the cash flow analysis here. We have Snapchat's operating cash flow from 2019, the last 4 fiscal years, and ending 2022 here. As you can see, huge spike, 2020, 2021, COVID. And they started out, in 2019 here on this graph in a loss from the data that I pulled. And they, got able to be profitable in the operating cash flow perspective in that 300,000 close to that point, and then decreasing now, returning to the pre-pandemic levels. And compensation expense I found of $1.4 billion. And that also included depreciation and amortization expense was kind of their biggest expenses in the operating cash flow analysis. And they have, some loss on some debt and securities, which factor into that. However, the net cash provided throughout the 4 quarters this past year increased with the accounts receivable balance from that 2020 to 2021, which was kind of why you see that increase. And that's due to the timing of collections as well. Okay, we'll go to the liquidity analysis here with the current ratio. Comparing the two, yellow Snapchat, this time black for Pinterest. And you can kind of see that similar trend for both, pretty consistent, and then kind of decreasing here. And market conditions are very similar with the operating cycle here. And this is why you can kind of really see that in these past few graphs. And we kind of witnessed that with the data and the analysis we performed for the financial perspective on it. And similar operating cycles include accounts receivable collection periods, which is why kind of the current ratio stayed very similar for both companies. And we have the debt ratio next. And here we're the debt ratio comparison. Pinterest in black, this time a little bit lower and very consistent. However, Snapchat's a little more robust, again, kind of keeping a similar proportion and steady pace until 2021, where it increased. And they have a lower proportion, Snapchat does, of total assets and to total debt, which creates a higher ratio. And the reason why it spiked so much, as you can see here on the graph, from 2021 to 2022, this is due to leveraging debt for growth. That's kind of Snapchat's plan of attack, and that's why they increased kind of a significant amount per se in this graph perspective to around the 0.7. And that's due to kind of their strategic goals as an organization. All right, now we will get to the balanced scorecard. So here we have at the top, we have the financial perspective and the goals. So I put down for the goals to succeed and thrive, not just survive, but thrive. And to succeed, the measures would be revenue growth percentage and gross margin. And this is just a good way to obviously see the revenue increase, and that's one of their goals, as they've been struggling a lot with, that net loss. So up the gross revenue, but coming with that, managing the cost of revenue, lowering those operating expenses. And the gross margin, they just want, it's good to have more consistency to see that growth there. To thrive, I put ROI. This is because their ROI, return on investment, has been decreasing the last 2 years. And for investors, that's not the greatest look. So if they can up, that would be very appealing to investors and kind of the financial perspective of the balanced scorecard here. And the capital expenditure efficiency, I think that's just a good way to see efficient use of their capital for strategic investments, and just to ensure that their contributions kind of have the long-term bigger picture in mind. So sorry about that. And then here in the customer perspective, we have the goals of building community and content quality. So the measures for building community, we have daily active users and the frequency of interactions. So high engagement levels indicate, that users find that platform compelling and valuable, and just they contribute to the overall satisfaction of the experience that they have with the Snapchat app. So monitoring that user satisfaction provides insights into how well Snapchat is meeting the expectations and the preferences of the user base of their users. And this is just a good way to, one of their goals in the strategic plan is to build a better community within users. And this is a good way to see kind of how frequently users interact with each other. And since they have group chat settings, and they just added a new kind of feature that you can put like your school in, and it'll connect you to everybody who's within, so like for me, like I go to Concordia University of Wisconsin, Mequon, and I can be connected with everyone who has Snapchat here and put that as their school. So it's kind of fun ways like that where they're trying to build a better community. So it's not just a user independent, but users connecting as a group and kind of being that overall feel in that community aspect. So the content quality, the measures we have here is customer satisfaction ratings and the feedback on customer surveys. This is a good way to make sure that Snapchat has a rich and diverse content, which contributes to the user engagement and kind of contributes to the satisfaction and contributes to building that community. As users find value in the content they encounter, they'll feel more kind of engaged and feel a part of something bigger. Oh, sorry. The learning and growth perspective, right here at the bottom. Our goals here are innovation, and the measure innovation, and then engaged and develop employees. So the measures for innovation, I have the number of ideas generated and implemented, and then the frequency of knowledge sharing sessions. So fostering a culture of innovation, encourage kind of employees to contribute, to have good ideas, find those creative solutions, and adapt to kind of the changing market. So this helps with facilitating collaboration, and that enhances communication within the organization and kind of information among different teams that Snapchat has within their business and their employees. And this kind of builds a culture of innovation, I like to call it. And I think that contributes a lot to an organization's success. And I see that as a good kind of goal to have and a great way to learn and grow in the perspective of the balanced scorecard. So the next goal on here, we have engaged and develop employees. And I have employee satisfaction scores and engagement results. Having engaged employees is so critical to a successful organization. Employees drive everything, as you can't have an organization run successful without employees that kind of care about and have a passion for it. So engaged and satisfied employees are most likely to contribute to an organization positively and kind of have more success in the organization. So I think that's a critical goal to have, an area that we can narrow in, that Snapchat can narrow in and kind of focus on and be able to really boost that in that aspect. Also, I have for a measure the percentage of employees. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Sorry. Percentage of employees participating in ongoing training programs. So this is important because continuous learning really enhances and builds up those employees, giving them better skills and better equip them to accomplish tasks and goals that Snapchat asks of them. And this kind of works in with fostering that innovation and adaptability within that innovation culture that we just talked about, that Snapchat should kind of target and go after. Then lastly, here we have the internal process, the internal business process perspective here on the right. Goals here, user engagement and app effectiveness. So let's hit user engagement first. The measures, the time users use in the app, and then user-generated content. So these measures kind of see that longer time spent on the app for users suggests that users have higher interest and engagement with that content. And that's critical, as that's kind of a key to seeing what Snapchat's providing is what users want, what users need, and what's going to drive kind of the app itself to give that experience that Snapchat kind of promises. User-generated content. So that's per se, let's say I'm posting a story, so that can be seen by all of the people who have me on Snapchat, all my friends on Snapchat. I could post something, maybe it's, a day in the life of me or just like something I'm excited about, whatever. That's user-generated content. Whatever the user, in this case was me, generates what content I make. So that's a great way to kind of see how engaged and active users are in kind of that community and in the app itself. If they're putting out content, obviously they're engaged and they're using Snapchat as a platform to kind of build a community and kind of really execute and kind of build their own personal brand, which is great. Second goal here, app effectiveness. Excuse me. And the measures here that I have are content processing time and bug fix resolution time. I think these are important measures. For content processing time, that just ensures a timely visibility of user content and kind of how fast the cloud in Snapchat's internal processes, how fast I can send a text, send a video, upload my content to Snapchat and communicate to other users on Snapchat. I think that's critical if they can hone in on keeping that good and keeping that fast, since we live in such an upbeat, fast, like instantaneous, instant gratification kind of society these days. So it's kind of good to keep up with the times Snapchat is, and kind of that internal process of making sure from point A, from this user to this user, it could go boom, and the snap of a finger gets sent there, and be able to communicate with each other effectively and efficiently within the app itself. Another thing, bugs, obviously with all apps, you're going to have different bugs and kind of different problems that come up with the app itself. So having a faster content upload speed and kind of making sure that problems don't exist. And if they do exist, which they, will come up, as no app's perfect, is to be able to have kind of that fast ability within the internal process of the app to be able to identify what the problem is and to be able to fix that in their customer service department, or the kind of that bug resolution department that they have, to be able to really go into the app and make sure that it's fixed in a timely manner, and to make sure users feel like that the app is in good hands. And I forgot to mention, but the overall strategy that I kind of came up with from my research and kind of what I thought would be a good goal and strategy for this balanced scorecard for Snapchat, and kind of reading in to their 10K and analyzing what their strategic plans are. I came up with this strategy, which influences all these four perspectives. Is Snapchat strategy should be grow the company profitably and use your community through innovation, such as augmented reality, to enhance user engagement while remaining a leading multimedia messaging app and social media platform. And I just think that's critical, because innovation is what really drives success, especially in the social media and app world. You got to be innovative. You got to be able to produce new content, new features to keep users engaged. You got to keep up with the times, find popular trends, boom, implement them right away into your app. So I think that's critical. Obviously, with AI and now augmented reality, Snapchat's finding cool ways to implement that. And they actually just this past year implemented an AI person that you can like Snapchat, send videos and text to, and it'll respond like an actual person, which is a little bit, for me, a little bit scary. I don't do it, but a lot of people like it, and a lot of people think it's cool. So it's really fascinating to see where Snapchat has been going these last few years with kind of the increase in AI and AR, and this new possibilities kind of seem endless. So it's important to focus on that user engagement and kind of see if they can strive to beat out some of the really big social media corporations like Facebook and Instagram. So this strategy really influences everything. The balanced scorecard is the foundation. It's the pivotal, kind of center of it, and everything stems off of it. So that's kind of what I came up with the strategy, and then thought about the financial, customer, learning and growth, and internal business process perspectives. They all are influenced by this strategy, and the goals kind of connect and are measured through different metrics, which help Snapchat be able to gauge how well they're doing with this balanced scorecard strategy. So with that, I have my references here, and I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. And it was a pleasure having you guys in my class. And I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, and God bless on your future. Thank you.